All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for jumping on and joining us for another edition of Expert Mentors Live, some training for all of you awesome people in the Fast Forward movement in the Honey Badger Nation. We really appreciate you guys taking the time and jumping on with us for these live trainings. For those of you new into the groups, and maybe this is your first time tuning in, I'm John Kitchens, Strategic Business Advisor over at NAEA, and just have had a blast kicking these trainings off and being a part of all the expert mentors that we have in the community. And really that's what it was about. And we've got so many amazing, talented people inside the Honey Badger Nation, Fast Forward movement, within EXP in general, that really just love to give back and add value back into the community. And that's really what being an expert mentor is all about. And that's what these expert mentor live training calls are all about. Just make sure, same time, same channel every week, Wednesdays at noon Central. So get it set in the calendar. Make sure you set the reminder and tune in live to join. It is interactive. So as our expert mentors are going through, we're going to be, leaving space and time for you guys to chime in, ask questions, get engaged into the conversation. So take advantage of the opportunity that you guys have with some amazing people each and every week. And so we're super excited this week to have Mary Simmons-Maloney on with us to rock it out. She's going to dive into some geo-farming, kind of talk about branding versus call to action, which I'm super excited to get into. Real quick on Mary, she's got the #1 team in North County, San Diego, per the Wall Street Journal, and she's, the Inlet 101 most influential in real estate list. Navy combat veteran, very married and a mom of a college student. Rookie lover, cancer hater, rosé snob, rosé and food snob, renovation addict, fun seeker, and she's from Arkansas, so don't hold that against her.
No, do not.
Thanks for taking the time and jumping on. I know you're super, super crazy busy with all the stuff that you guys have going on. So anything else that you kind of want to share with everybody, insightful for everybody on about yourself before you jump into today's topic?
So I would just say that I probably come at marketing a little bit different than most people. After the Navy, I had a stint. I'm a recovering marketer, if you will. By education and trade, I was extremely lucky to work with some very high-profile clients, including Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield. And so that's really how I cut my branding and marketing chops, is kind of the old school 6 Ps of marketing, if you will. And so I really just looked at taking those marketing principles and applying them to real estate. So I do come at branding versus call to action probably differently than most realtors do. And I think that that's what has truly set us apart. I think a lot of realtors just look to see what the other realtors in their space are doing and they just copy it instead of looking to really, be innovative. And it's just amazing to me, the talent that we have attracted in EXP, and especially in our Fast Forward and Honey Badger groups. There are so many talented people that we each have a core competency, and we each have something that is truly a strength. And so I come from the position of, just do what you're really good at, and don't really look to strength and weaknesses. Just look to find others that you can learn from, and just take the tidbits and just execute, just implement. And so some of the things I'm going to share today are super easy to implement. Some you may need to take a step back and do some brainstorming, if you will, around your brand and the message that you really want to put out there in the community, not only with your consumer, but in your peer community as well, and what you stand for. So marketing is my passion. I love it. If I could just get paid to market everyone every day, I would just do that. But I am still in production. Yeah, I'm still in production. I've been in the business for 15 years. We were fortunate enough to have an amazing run. And for the last 10 years, we have operated as an independent brokerage. And so I like to say we were indie when indie wasn't cool. And so back then, you know, we had to travel to things like Inman and these types of things in order to share and learn and grow as an independent brokerage. And so it's super awesome that now within EXP, all of these amazing independent brokerages that have been doing some crazy, crazy, awesome things can now come together under one platform in one environment, and we can just combine all of these talents together. I've learned so much in the last 90 days from people, you know, like yourself and Jay and Michael, as well as, you know, Daniel and Kyle, the three amigos, we like to say, a very unlikely trio, but I'm just learning so much from these guys that I'm happy to share any and everything. And if anyone wants copies of anything, I'm happy to send them out as well, or post them on our group or whatever.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. Lifelong learner. And, you know, we definitely come from the school of, you know, definitely Jay Abraham, such a tremendous mentor to us. And, you know, you definitely resonates with us when you say, you know, looking outside of the industry. And so I'm super excited for you to dive in and share. And yeah, you nailed it. You know, it's what Jay's been talking about. It's been kind of our mantra, what we've been looking for within a EA and things over the last 10 years is how can we get all of our fires together? And you know, EXP has been able to do that for us. So it's super exciting. So I'll let you rock. I'll let you jump into today's topic, and we'll just keep an eye for everybody that's on. If you guys have any chat, you want to ask any Q&A, you just want to give Mary some love, throw it out there. And
I need lots of love. So, all right, let me get in here and, oh, I think I already have it going. Let's see, over here. Oh, technology, look at that. All right, can you see my screen?
I do not still have you, so see if you can hit that.
Share screen. Desktop.
There we go. Awesome.
There we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm actually working technology. How about now?
Perfect.
Nice and big?
Yep.
All right. So I just want to run through kind of a little bit on the background of who we are. And if anyone out there is currently working a geographic farm, we have worked a geographic farm for personally the last 15 years and as the independent brokerage for the last 10. When I first came into real estate, looking at real estate through a marketer's lens, you know, the internet was just getting to be big back then. And so I definitely knew that I had to develop a niche, whether that be geographical, categorical, demographical. I think most realtors do have some sort of niche that can set them apart, just like if you were a probate attorney or a divorce attorney or intellectual property. Having that distinction of a niche is very important. And so having just moved into a master planned community that was new in the North County, San Diego market, I chose to go geographical. We do have a second office in Oceanside that is a categorical office in that we focus on serving the military community. As a veteran, married to a veteran, there's a huge demand for good, honest information related to the VA loan and how it works and helping our local veterans here in the San Diego market. So that is a categorically focused office. But our main office of Hometown Realty, our primary focus is our geographical farm. And over the years, we have developed that up to a 5,000 home farm that we market to, sometimes 6,000, depending upon what we're sending out. But in looking at that farm itself, it does have an 8% average turnover. At our highest, which is super important to me in marketing, that anyone that's looking to develop a geographical farm, you have to know the average turnover rate in order to be able to know how much business can you expect based on the budget that you are going for. So I think a lot of people in marketing would say in real estate, a 6 to 8% average turnover is probably a nice farm to go after. And starting small, I do have some slides around a formula that I use to get started in geographical farming that we'll go through later if you're starting a new farm.
Awesome.
At the highest point, we did have a 28% market share in this farm. And right now we are down in our market share. We're hovering around 19 to 20%. And, you know, I'm old. I've lived the downturn, and, you know, we did better in bad markets. Every time the market gets good, a lot of people, quote, get into real estate, or they come back active into real estate, and the market gets diluted with a lot of onesie, twosie agents, if you will, because everyone's mother's cousin's brother's uncle is a realtor in San Diego. There are over 25,000 licensed people in San Diego County that sell real estate. However, when the market is good, people want to jump in. You get some delusion in the market. And John and I were just talking briefly before we jumped on here that, you know, we're having to work 3 times as hard, it seems like, in a good market. And some of that delusion is because of that. The average sales price in our market, I think that's always important when people start throwing numbers around to understand where someone is coming from. The average sales price in our market here for our team is $680,000. And currently we do have 8 agents, and we have 1 admin, and we outsource most of our other services, such as transaction coordination and graphics artist and things like that. So just to give you an idea of the team size that we have, I am still in production as a team owner, and then we do outsource a lot. I used to have a lot of in-house staff, and we've gone to outsourcing, but that gives you an idea of our team size, our market size, and the geo farm that we work.
Are you driving the marketing, Mary? Is that, I mean, you wear the marketing hat and drive the strategy and drive the creative and drive everything for all the marketing you guys do?
Yes. So I would say, I think it's important that the visionary, if you will, of your brand, whether that be you or you work for someone, you know, driving that creative and who you are as a brand. Internally, that becomes culture, but externally in your marketplace, that becomes your brand. Right. And so I drive the creative, I drive the branding, and I work with the graphic artist to, you know, create the call to action messages. But it's important, I think, also for us to look outside of our industry. You know, I study other companies outside of real estate when it comes to branding and call to action messages, whether that be, for instance, the Wild Animal Park here in San Diego. I think they do an amazing job at branding and call to action with their billboard messages, with the way that they structure their campaigns, but also from a national standpoint, watching other companies such as Virgin Atlantic or Apple, if you will, if that resonates with your brand and how you do real estate. Versus, you know, I also watch Coke. I prefer being Coke as to being Pepsi. And I think that that's the thing in real estate. I have 2 major competitors in my market, and you have to decide, who are you going to be as a company and a brand and of service? You know, there's Coke, there's Diet Coke, there's Pepsi, there's Dr. Pepper. There's a lot of different soft drink choices, and there's also a lot of real estate choices. And you don't have to get all of the business, but you want to message to the consumer that resonates with your brand and go deeper in communication and marketing with that market segment versus trying to cast too wide of a net. Not that you don't want to attract new consumers to your brand, but the deeper you can go with the people that resonate, just like there are some people that shop at Walmart and there are other people that are Target, just diehards, and they would never go anywhere but Target. So Target goes super deep with the people that love them. And I think that sometimes we in real estate get caught up with the shiny object of just trying to drive. Of course, we want to drive as many leads as we can into the top of the funnel. But when we're talking about geo farming versus online lead generation versus, other types of marketing and advertising that you're doing, understanding your consumer and who you're trying to message to is wildly important. So for today's exercise, we're going to be talking about geo farming, how to increase your listing share, and the difference in how you layer that when you're executing. So this is something that we did a couple of years ago when we really took a deep dive into who we are as a company and a brand. And I know there are some folks, Tammy Pack has just launched in Fredericksburg, Texas. She's just launched her We Are campaign. And if you're new to the business or you've been in the business a long time, whether you have developed a set of core values or you haven't, this is a great exercise to go through to discover who you are as a company, who you are as individuals. And so we developed a We Are campaign, and we committed to 12 months to introduce the brand and who we are as a company to our geo farm. And so we just made a list of, the different things that we are on our team. And as our team has grown, as our team has, had people leave and new people come in, it seems that these types of categories still resonate with the type of people that are attracted to our brand, whether that be other agents or whether that be the consumer. And so we as a collective, we're moms, we're dads, we're real estate geeks. We love to support our community. A lot of us are very into food and wine. Some are tech savvy, some aren't. But once you start developing who you are, then developing around those categories in order to develop this We Are campaign. And this was very successful for us in a number of ways. And we got a lot of feedback from the community around this campaign that they were really enjoying it. And if you can resonate your message, you'll find that you will attract the same type of people to your company and your brand. And let's face it, we want to work with people that are like us, right?
Human element on it, right? Yeah, I love it.
So after the first year and the success, and we did this across print, what you'll see here, we had a local paper in our marketplace for, 15 years before they folded. We had the back page of that newspaper for all 15 years. And so what you see here is the print ad that we ran, and we specifically chose to use black and white photos to make our logo stand out. And this was back before, this was a few years ago. And so, using the black and white photos was quite popular. But this is a great way to introduce yourselves. After that year, not only did we run print, Facebook, social media, at the time, Pinterest was just starting up. We also did direct mail with postcards, and we turned these into postcards as well as the print. But after that first 12 months and the success that we had with it, we decided to turn the focus to our clients. And this has continued to be extremely valuable for us. It's kind of a different twist on the client testimonial, if you will. And so every great story, there's a great book, How to Build a Brand Story. And I can't remember who wrote that. Do you know off the top of your head, John, who wrote that book? Gosh, I can't, it escapes me for a second who wrote that book. But How to Build a Brand Story. And so every great story, whether that be...
Story brand. It's the story brand process. Donald...
there you go.
It's amazing.
Yes. Great book. And I highly suggest everyone read that book and go through that exercise if you are still trying to develop your brand story. But every story has, a hero, they have a guide, They overcome a problem. And so really that's what we do in real estate too. Your marketing and your branding, if you will, should tell a story. And so client testimonials are great ways to tell stories of how you as the realtor helped to overcome that problem that they were in. And we used families of different ethnicities, different familial makeup, some moving within the community, some moving out of state. But what this did was it resonated with the consumer that, oh, well, we're just like them. So if they used Hometown Realty, we should use Hometown Realty. And you'll also see we had shifted our logo at that time as well, and kind of came out with this more streamlined logo. But these stories just told the story of the family. Like, we are, Star Wars loving, world traveling family, and we were trying to sell a house at Thanksgiving and buy a house, and we called Hometown Realty, and Hometown Realty not only sold our home, but we were in our home for the new year. And that family is also who we are as a brand. And so this was a really successful campaign and a new twist, if you will, on how to tell that client testimonial without it just being a review, if you will. And so people love to read stories, and this was quite a successful campaign, and we still utilize this today. So the We Are campaign, again, we ran it in print. I've never felt print was dead, but this is truly a long shelf life marketing campaign, and the new term, if you will, in the marketing world is evergreen. So these client testimonials are truly evergreen type marketing that you can recycle and then deploy in different ways, whether that be socially, email marketing, through print. It doesn't matter if you helped someone 5 years ago or if you helped them this week. This evergreen type client testimonial is a great way to build a repository that you can use in listing presentations, and you can use to bring new people to your brand. So branding is a way to tell your story within the marketplace. There are other forms of branding that we also deploy. We do have a retail office space in our farm, right in our little town center. We do a lot of events. Some of those events are very community oriented and driven, such as we sponsor National Night Out with the city of San Marcos, the Sheriff's Department, and the Fire Department. We also do a backyard tour every year that has nothing to do with selling homes, but is just a way to get belly to belly and meet our community and develop a relationship with them before they're even thinking about real estate. And then, of course, fun things like sponsoring little league teams or handing out promotional items. We also do have a moving truck that gives us a lot of visibility within our community. And then things to drive people into our office, such as photos with Santa or photos with the Easter Bunny. Those types of things are great to actually physically drive traffic into your business. So branding is a way to tell your story and live your core values outside of your doors. The difference between branding and call to action is that you want people to take an action, either connect with us on Facebook, call us, text us. This is when you're running those open house ads, just listed, just sold, get your home evaluation. And so these take on different messaging, if you will. So we do call to action in the forms of just listeds, in escrows, just solds. The very popular We Have a Buyer was really popular for a long time. I think realtors have ruined it. Right? Also what's your home worth and the home evaluation type of marketing. I think it's been overdone, but we do have a few things that we've changed up a little bit that I can share as far as pieces go. So let me, can you see me now, John?
I still have your screen, but we've got you in the side, so you're good. Just keep showing.
Okay. I just wanted to show you a couple of things that we've done in the past that if they haven't been done in your market, you know, these might be some good things for you to do if this hasn't been done. The big we have a buyer. The shift that we made in our what's your home worth, or our just solds, if you will, is we changed up the messaging from what's your home worth to curious what a buyer would be willing to pay for your home. And I think that messaging is very, very different than find out what your home is worth. Because I don't know about everyone's market that's on the call, but in our market, in a very low inventory, high demand, what a buyer is willing to pay for a home could be very different than what it's worth, right? Yep. And so sellers start hearing that homes are selling in a weekend or homes are selling in less than 7 days. And so it shifts, right? And seller ego takes over. And if John and Susie's house down the street got that price, well, my house should be worth a lot more than that, right? Everyone thinks their house is worth more.
The story that you and I were having before we jumped on live is that the reason that this particular couple decided, because I was like, you know, well, what was the reasoning? And it was based upon what their neighbor got down the street in the format that their neighbor got. And so that, I mean, 2-year relationship saved them over $20,000 on the purchase, but yet they're going to sell it on their own because they didn't like the price, the reality, what it was going to sell for based upon what their neighbor told them. So no, that's good stuff. Yeah.
So the other shift that we have made in our just sold is really not so much that it just sold. However, we want to start setting the seeds of the process that we go through to market someone's home. And so we've started doing these bubbles, kind of showing the process of how we got that home sold or how we got that price. So things like, you know, 2,000 online views, under contract in 9 days equaled one happy seller. Or if you have something that gets, you know, multiple offers, 2,000 online views, 10 competitive showings, it was in escrow in 2 days, and then we sold that to one awesome buyer. So setting the stage, because everything in my opinion, everything you're doing in print to talk, you're messaging to your future seller, you're messaging to getting your next listing. This has nothing to do with buyers. Buyer marketing online is a completely different conversation and different strategy. But setting the stage for how your marketing process works, because all someone cares about is getting results, right? Because all a seller wants to know is that you are going to find a buyer for their home, right? And that you are going to deliver an offer at the price that they want, at the terms that they want, at the timing that they want. So being able to show and be results driven in your marketing really speaks to the next seller or client, because at the end of the day, that's all they want to know, is that you can find a buyer. And if you have a direct to consumer marketing campaign, which is a whole nother conversation, around selling that home, and that's what you show them in your listing presentation, this they want to know, how are you getting those results? How are you driving 10,000 views to a home? That gets you the call and the conversation to at least get to the kitchen table to be able to present and show them how you're actually going to drive those numbers. So just a little bit on how we've kind of shifted our marketing pieces a little bit, as far as taking a different spin on just solds or in escrows. And you can do that so many ways.
which company do you use for your postcards? Gordon was asking if you use a national company that the rest of everybody on the call could use.
You know, I'll find out from our graphics artist. Honestly, our postcards are just a local printer, and we get a great price, and it's super easy. And we do a lot of EDDM when we're doing a geographical farm, right? Because that's your cheapest and most cost-effective way to do direct mail is through EDDM. So we use a local printer for postcards such as this that they will not only print, but then they will bundle for the EDDM and actually deliver them to the post office. So that takes the logistical getting an EDDM out off of our plate, which I'm happy to pay the money to do that.
Perfect. Cool.
So I hope that helps. But I can put some resources for some of our bigger pieces that we do in bulk. I can put up some resources for printers. Awesome. America's Printer is awesome. There are some other ones. I'll get them and post them.
Okay, great.
All right. So call to action, a little bit of a different shift there. Super, super important to do proof of success pieces. Super important. So in messaging to your sellers and to your community through monthly market updates, quarterly pieces, and yearly social proof that you have a track record of success, and that utilizing words like trust, because sellers want to know that they can trust that you are going to sell their home. After coming out of the recession, trust became a very, very important word. And so utilizing proof of success pieces, again, client testimonials, and leverage your reviews. So you'll see here, this was a piece that we did. We told 3 different client stories, and then added in some of those Zillow reviews so that people could see that they could go to Zillow to learn more. But these proof of success pieces, we've done different kinds. This one was very, very successful for us, and we've redone this one. This is kind of a drop down. When someone opens this and they're like, you know, they get this little thing. It's just about how they fold it, right? But then when they open it up and it drops all of these houses that you've sold, that says, wow, they are super successful. They know what they're doing. So these types of quarterly proof of success are important. Also giving them market updates through easy to read, simple icon type. They just want to know in a quick, easy snapshot, what does our market look like? So you can combine your proof of success with market updates and leveraging those types of things. This right here, this is a big map. I know this folds out, it's huge. I'll definitely put up the printer that we did for this because it's an amazing rate. If you want to do one of these big 4-quadrant open up pieces, you can't beat their price. But in a geographical farm, their maps are extremely important. And if you follow any of the big marketing gurus, if you will, people love maps. I don't know what it is, but I remember as a kid traveling across from Arkansas to California on vacation, and I was in charge of the atlas, and I would track us going across all the different cities and tell my grandpa, you know, this is the next city that we're coming up to. And I don't know about you, but I know kids love maps, and I think that stays with us. We want to know our geography, and we have a natural attraction to maps. So being able to put up a proof of success piece, and then highlighting when you've gone above and beyond. So you got, you know, the highest sale in that neighborhood or the highest price per square foot. This is a very quick and easy way for people to see your success. And hey, if you don't have a lot of success, you know, use use an area map of your team or your company. If you don't have a lot of bubbles, just make the bubbles bigger.
Yeah.
That people can see very quick and easy that you do have this track record of success in their area. And then if you're trying to grow into other areas, then just keep, pulling your map out and out and out. So maps are very, very important in your proof of success. We do this large piece on a yearly basis to show our yearly proof of success. We do these smaller ones on a quarterly basis. And then things like this one, these types of things can be done on a monthly basis, giving your monthly stats in your market. Also another map we did just on a quarterly basis because the spring market was crazy. And then showing our homes here. So we did another map on a quarterly basis just because prices were just skyrocketing and we wanted to make sure people could see that in a quick, easy way to read. So proof of success, really, really important.
Yeah, that is really important. And I love how you put it out there, super high quality pieces. And you're putting, if you helped a buyer or a seller, all sales inside of that geographic area is going on that map, right?
Correct. Yes. Whether it's a listing or a buyer. And then if you, I think it's important for people to know, some people don't like to do dual agency. Honestly, we do quite a bit of it because if you have a direct to consumer marketing approach, you are naturally going to attract the consumer. And at the end of the day, that's why a seller hires you, is to find a buyer for their home. So, we make a big deal of calling out when we have represented the seller and the buyer and have brought people together and facilitated both sides of the transaction and made a real estate love match, if you will. So I think that's important too. If you do have a high propensity to, sell your listings, it's important to let people know that, because it shows the effectiveness of your marketing, and sellers just want to know that you get results. So, okay, so leveraging reviews, we talked about maps. Again, everything that you do in print really needs to be focused on speaking to sellers and messaging to sellers on, what is happening in their market. Also, something that we have discovered through the years is, if you study disc profiles or if you study the different types of personalities, it's important that you have something in those quarterly marketing pieces as well as your yearly proof of success pieces that speaks to every different type of personality. And so the analytical personality really loves the numbers, right? They want to know the stats. And so I'll just show you. They love to really dive into the numbers. So these graphs here that you see, the statistics of homes sold in the area, average days on market, and then showing your results. If you can do it in less time for more money, that's awesome. And that's what you want to show people. And the analyticals love the numbers, just like when you're sitting down at the kitchen table and you dive into the numbers. The driver personality wants it quick and they want it in bullet points. Just like when you are meeting with them, they don't want a big spill, just get to the bottom line and tell me how you're going to do it and what that means to me. So utilizing these icons is very important when you're dealing with drivers. Expressives love the pictures. They want to look, the expressives are the people that love Instagram and Pinterest. They want to look at pictures of beautiful homes and beautiful kitchens, and they're obsessed with HGTV. So having really great photography, and John, how you talked about the quality of the paper that you use. When the expressive person touches your marketing out of their mailbox, that's very important to them, how things look and feel. And so The quality of the paper is going to be very important to an expressive. And then of course the amiable, they love the client testimonials. They love the we are stories. And so having some of that in your quarterly and your yearly marketing piece, if you're doing local social proof instead of doing a just sold, that's going to be important to an amiable, because they like reading about the family. They like knowing their story. And so you will attract the amiable through those client testimonials. So I think for us, our keys to success in driving our geo farm and the success that we have had really comes down to frequency and consistency, and developing a plan for your geographical farm and the different layers of how you're going to market to them. For people that don't have a geographic farm, or for those that maybe are looking to move into a new geographic farm, I know, we recently started moving into a categorical farm. So farms don't necessarily have to be geographical anymore, especially with social media. You can identify a demographical farm. Maybe you are looking to market to baby boomers, or you have a specific area where a lot of baby boomers like to be. Through our categorical farm, we identified, areas and places and addresses that meet our categorical farm. So my new farm formula, I don't know that I can take credit for all of this. We do coach with Tom Ferry. I have paid Jay and Michael at NAEA for coaching. And so I can't take credit for all of this, but applying old school marketing principles of price, product, packaging, placement, positioning, this really does, this formula has worked for us in the past. So we look for a 6 to 8% turnover in a farm. And whether you are starting with, and your budget allows you to start with 100 homes or 500 homes or 1,000 homes, grow over time. It's better to start with a smaller niche farm and hit it more frequently and consistently than trying to do, 30,000 homes and send out one piece.
Do you have a budget per home kind of number that you gauge off of?
So right now, it really depends on how much someone has to spend. There is no tried and true rule. I know some people say take 20% of every commission and put that towards your marketing budget. We set out, and right now we currently spend roughly $1 per household per month in our farm. And that's layered, right? That's layered throughout print,
all the different
social. Yeah.
So
that's
dollar per month per home is the budget number.
Yeah. And that's after you've kind of gone through your new farm startup, right? That's kind of just to maintain your farm, if you will. So look for the 6 to 8% turnover, identify the average price point. I also like to look and study who are the dominant agents in a particular farm or a particular niche. What are they doing? Because whatever they're doing, we want to do something different. When you're trying to break into a new farm, you have to come with something that's different than their current choice. So if the current choice is Coke and you are Pepsi, you have to come in and be different than Coke in order to win new consumers. So the same thing when you are looking to go into a farm, you have to identify who the dominant agents are and identify the whole. Is there a segment that they're not going after? Do they only do luxury and they're not going after the townhomes? You just have to study the marketplace to know where is the whole, because that's truly what business is. And marketing is there to solve a problem, fulfill a hole. Where's the hole in the market? And that's what we want to go after.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, those are some great nuggets there. I just want to just kind of re-emphasize for everybody listening to the call and make sure they pick that up. What Mary just shared with you guys was the budget per home was to maintain after your initial launch. And that's a solid number. That's a number that we've always ran with. as well. So that's great to see. Talking about difference, money moves, to difference, not to similarity. So you don't want to be the same. You want to be different. So it was a great, great point. And you talked about a percentage of allocation. I know Greg Crabtree talks about, ideally 10% of your overall gross revenues. And then he talks about, okay, how can we drive that number down while we grow profits? So those are always kind of that's the gauge, right? How can we drive down our percent of marketing allocation to gross revenue while we still grow our profits? So it's just an interesting game on those dynamics. But this is an awesome formula, and if people will just run with it. I would say where I've seen, and definitely I would love for you to add some more context to this, is that where you nailed it with the frequency and the consistency, but taking the time to plan out what all of those pieces are going to be, so you're stuck, busy, you're like, I got to get this piece out, and then you're just like, well, I'll just do it next week, and it fails. So that was huge for us to make sure to maintain that consistency is the planning that goes into this.
Yeah. And sitting down and developing, a media schedule, and whether that is, the We Are campaign that you're going to run every month, and you decide I'm going to allocate money to that. I'm going to start a new farm, every week for the first 6 weeks, twice a month for the next 6 months, and every month thereafter, because you have to get enough brand recognition in the beginning. They have to see you enough to have brand recall. So if you are new to a farm, you've got to hit them frequently enough. And what we found too is, you have to hit people in different layers, right? And you have to stack your marketing, if you will. So, utilizing social media on top of the direct mail that's going out, on top of leveraging your open houses, on top of doing your events, on top of, the moving truck, on top of all of these things. Because imagine, a consumer is driving home and they see your sign in their neighbor's yard. And then they go to their mailbox and they get a just listed card. Then you've done social media ads and pin dropped on top of that house to also find out how much would a buyer pay for your home. So that consumer sees the sign, gets the card in the mailbox, they go to log into Facebook, and your ad comes up for, the house, and to find out what a buyer would be willing to pay for their house. Then they get a sly broadcast phone call to come to the neighbor preview for the open house that's going to be happening this weekend. And then when they're taking their kids to soccer on Saturday, they see your giant open house signs. It's all layered in. It's not just one thing works, right? And so you have to think about, maybe the wife gets the mail, but the husband saw you on Facebook, or the wife took the kids to soccer and saw the open house sign, but then the husband saw your moving truck parked at the neighbor's house. So not one form of media works for every single consumer. And if you are trying to dominate a geo farm, they have to see you everywhere. They have to see you in their stream. And the stream economy is oftentimes distraction marketing. However, it's brand recall at the same time. Maybe they don't click through your ad to see what a buyer would be willing to pay for their home, but then when they get your postcard, it's easy to then just log in. You never know at what point someone is going to think about selling their home. And so, it's important that they just, see you everywhere, whether that be events. And, maybe you don't have an Airstream. We have this vintage 1974 Airstream that we gutted and renovated into a mobile office, but we also do events and open houses. But maybe you have a pop-up that you put in front of your open house. And the ability to sweat equity, leverage, and open house is amazing. It doesn't have to be a lot of check equity. You can sweat equity, leverage your open houses by door knocking, doing social media, way cheaper than direct mail, but people have to see you everywhere in order to build that brand recall. So, skip through some of these. Again, that layered approach that we talked about, right? Direct mail, open houses, events. It's all super important. And if you can control the listings in your geo farm, you will control the market, because every sign is just a 24-hour billboard, and open house signs are billboards. And getting that, if you can get to the listings and leverage your buyer sales to, maybe you're just doing a lot of online lead generation right now and you're representing a lot of buyers into a geo farm. Leverage that into direct mail and social media, because you sold the house too. But you can message that proof of success into getting the next listing. But you hit it on the head, John, that it takes planning. You can't just off the cuff, let me drop this postcard and expect that you'll get, a ton of leads or a ton of calls. It does take planning. It does take consistency and frequency. But if you can just develop a schedule of, doing just listed, in escrow, just sold, client testimonial, proof of success, a quarterly market update, a yearly map with proof of success. On top of that, the other things that you're doing, I think everyone can be a dominant agent in their farm and be the person that people that they recall immediately when people say the word real estate. I know we're kind of running low on time, and I want to respect everyone's time, but if anyone has questions, I'm happy to jump in and answer questions. And then this is how you can connect with me. That is my cell phone number. I'm happy to give it out, and my email address. Obviously, we do a ton of Facebook. We do a ton of Instagram now, which, the leverage of social media is just a whole nother story. And if anyone follows Gary Vee and what some of the other people are doing, I would highly recommend listening to Kyle Whistle's presentation on video. Social media is the new geo farm.
Yep.
And, everything works in conjunction with everything else, but utilizing video, watching Kyle's presentation with Brian, and, doing more video is a way to cost effectively leverage your brand within the social media space.
Sure.
So I'm happy to connect with people. If anybody wants a copy of any of these pieces that we do, I'm happy to post them or send them out, or however I can help.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mary. I mean, this is fascinating. I will say one of the you've done an amazing job. What I love is I love the color consistency and everything. I don't know if everybody picked up on that, but that was huge, and definitely a huge lesson for all of you out there to just, when you are looking for that consistency, that is definitely, even taking into consider your colors is absolutely, you being consistent.
Yeah, brand consistency, brand integrity. If you notice, every company and every major brand that we all love, I really cut my chops with Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, when it came to brand consistency. I mean, if there was one pixel off on Garfield's, his whiskers, it wasn't good enough. And so being committed to brand consistency and brand excellence will get that recall.
Right. Details matter. They absolutely do matter. And so those are absolutely critical. I've got 3 pages of notes myself. I mean, it was just really, it was awesome. I mean, it was really tons of value, tons of great takeaways here immediately that you guys can put in. definitely schedule the time to plan and prepare for this. And it's just something we were kicking around the last couple of days, talking about. It's Hofstadter's law, right? Things always take longer than what you think, even when you take into consideration Hofstadter's law, right? You take into consideration it's going to take long, and it even takes longer than that. And so make sure you give your time, space to think through, launch a campaign. That was really, really spot on with what you shared with everybody about, strategically, even going through your quarterly strategic planning. You should also plan your media campaigns and your launches, what's going to hit, what's the content, and even schedule that and, make time in the calendar to be able to execute through that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good piece of advice for everybody on the call and everybody listening to the recording is that, you're a marketer first and a salesperson second. And if you've got a team, you're a leader first, and then you're a marketer, and then you're a salesperson. And if you've got to understand that, embrace it, study it. And that's going to be what catapults you to the next level within your business and survive any of the shifts that are happening that may come and whatever we see. But Mary, I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, amazing call. Thank you for adding value and really being a true expert mentor. And, take advantage of, Mary threw her information out there, reach back out to her. We'll get this call posted into the Facebook groups so you guys can go back and recall. They're also in the Expert Mentor tool. And I know you referenced Kyle's episode. He was episode 4. So you guys definitely tune back into that. And, Alex on last week, he kind of talked about the force multiplier effect, and that's definitely the approach that you've taken. So thank you, guys. Get this recording, share your biggest takeaway for Mary, give her some love, and we appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mary.